Thank you for joining us. And before we get started with today's video, if you guys like what you're seeing and hearing from the Locked On Senators podcast, go ahead and hit like, smash the subscribe button so you can be the first to know about Sens content. Now, we're going to be doing a ton of these prospect profiles, so if you agree this is someone the Sens should look at or steer clear, leave your comment below so we can hear from you. Now, we got 64 of these, so let's get into it.
All right, Pilsy, we made it. It's the number one ranked player on the Locked On Senators countdown. No surprise, no drum roll needed. And you know what? This player, he probably wouldn't even want a drum roll because he is very cerebral. He's very calculated. He's very mature as a prospect. It's from the Kingston Frontenacs, Shane Wright.
Yeah, Shane Wright, he's been the number one guy pretty
Since
much.
he was like 13.
Yeah, like I remember working at TSN, Ross. I was covering the Canada games, and I don't know how old he was there, like 14, 15, and all of our like highlights, they all like you couldn't do a highlight of Shane Wright without mentioning likely first overall pick in the 2022 draft. And this was like 5 years ago. So like it was well known throughout the industry that this guy was going to be the guy. And for good reasons. He was the captain of Canada at the U18s, where he had 14 points in 5 games. How are you? Captain of the Kingston Frontenacs. He was granted exceptional status and drafted first overall in 2019 in the OHL Draft. There's a lot to like about Shane Wright.
Yeah, he's only the 5th player to get exceptional status into the Ontario Hockey League. That in itself, pretty exceptional. He did that as a 15-year-old. And you mentioned the unbelievable World Under-18s he had. Pilsy, that was last season. He was still in the playoffs this year. Did not attend. Get this. He didn't play all year. We talk about it all the time. The OHL didn't play, and then he just stepped in.
That's a good point.
Then he just stepped in international competition. Was like, yeah, I'll get 3 points per game, almost 2 goals per game, and be the captain in an age group above his.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So that just speaks to the maturity that he's just a leader of men. And I mean, you could say the same for next year, Connor Bedard, where I think Shane Wright's a little upset with this whole Connor Bedard hype train because he's like, wait, I deserve some hype too. But he's not as flashy as Connor Bedard. Bedard's got like, oh, I'll turn the outside in, go backhand, bar down. Whereas Shane Wright is so much more calculated. It really, for him, the sum is greater than all the parts. It really is the fact that he slows the pace down when he's on the ice. And for better or worse, like we'll get to that actually in a sec. Remind me, for better or worse when it comes to Shane Wright playing in the offensive style. 6-foot center, 199 pounds with Kingston, had 94 points in 63 games. That includes 32 goals, 22 penalty minutes. We do have a pair of our scouts who see him as the number 2 prospect in this draft. Wouldn't be a prospect board without a little bit of debate. Corey Prodman and Chris Peters both have him at number 2. And again, we will ask both of them to explain why on this show coming up next week. Elite prospects, Tony Ferrari, Scott Wheeler, Bob McKenzie, Craig Button, all have him as the number 1 overall pick. What is your favorite attribute when you watch Shane Wright play?
Well, like we mentioned earlier, it's his defensive awareness. And I've referenced it a bunch of times, but I'll keep giving credit. The EP Let's Watch videos with David St. Louis, again, another person going to be on this show. He does a really good job of highlighting the little things that Wright does that make him so good. Because like we talked about, he's not a dynamic guy. Like he might not wow you with pull you out of your seats, highlight real plays, but it's the combination of all the little things he does right. And when he's defending, he's able to help his team create offense by positioning and anticipation. He puts himself in the right spots to break up passes, to not allow plays to develop for other teams when he's defending. And not only that, it's one thing to break up a play, Ross, but if you just break it up and then you have the puck and then you just get swarmed by pressuring forecheckers, it doesn't really do you much good. So he puts himself in a position to break the play up, and he's already thinking, once I break it up, how do I start transitioning up the other way, up the ice with my teammates? So that's where he really excels, and his hockey IQ allows him to maybe not be more dynamic than other players, but to be smarter than other players, sorry. And it's that hockey IQ mixed with good skating that makes him so dangerous, because he knows where he needs to be and he can get there efficiently. And that's why, there's no doubt in my mind that this guy's going to be a great centerman in the league, because he's so aware of the whole play from any angle of the ice and any spot that he needs to go to transition defensively to offensively. He's got it figured out.
Well, he's got the best problem-solving skills in the draft, so
Yep,
there's
that
that.
goes to that.
He's the best two-way forward in the draft, so that goes to that. I should mention he's a right shot as well. Again, a bit more of a premium, especially, when you're looking at top center or top defenseman, you like to have like one lefty, one righty in a perfect world. I don't like the shades of Patrice Bergeron. I feel like that's so overused.
It's a little much.
If they're a good two-way guy, Mika Zibanejad's their other one. I don't know about that necessarily, especially at the same age. I know they're doing Mika now, but when Mika was that age, certainly defense was not the calling card of his game when he had his 9-game stint and beyond with the Ottawa Senators. But Shane Wright, man, very interesting prospect, because he doesn't always pull you out of your seat, and sometimes maybe that makes people think twice about putting him number one on their rankings. But at the end of the day, he's the best prospect in this draft. He's the number one guy. 90. So we talk about all his defensive awareness. Is 94 points this year. Like he's a stud.
I mean, but Ross, interestingly enough, according to EP, 94 points is the lowest CHL point total for a first overall pick.
Really?
Since 2001.
Wait. Rick Nash.
Boom. Nice. Yes. There you go. That's it. Yep.
Nice. Wait, and what about guys like Hischier?
CHL point totals. Was Hischier in the CHL?
Yeah.
How many points did he have?
I don't know. That's why I got to ask. But he was with the Halifax Mooseheads.
Oh, right. I just assumed he was with the Swiss League when he came over.
Yeah. No, he came over. I'm curious right now because the Q, 86 points.
Yep. So I mean, that sounds bad for you're like 94 points for this guy. And I'm like, actually, that sucks. That doesn't suck. It's still really good. But it's interesting to note that in past years, 94 points has been massively achieved by first overall CHL players. But that just goes to show you he's more defensively aware than a lot of these other prospects that are just putting up heavy points.
100%. No, I agree with that. That's exciting too let me pull this back up for a sec. I hope that didn't stay up the whole time. Anyways, Shane Wright, unbelievable prospect, unbelievable player as well. I want to show you. This might be, because you know how we always talk about how I just laugh. We take a peek at their elite prospects and how they do as a youngster. So he's from Burlington, but he and his dad moved to Don Mills, just north of Toronto, in I think his 13-year-old year, because they realized like we got to be all in on this. And being in Burlington, it's a little bit further out. What does he do with the Don Mills Flyers, Pilsy? 150 points in 72 games.
Yeah, it was very clear that at that age he was going to be something special. And Ross, I saw some highlights from the Don Mills Flyer days. That arena when he played was packed. Like people were crammed in there like sardines, and it's for like what 15, 16-year-old kids.
No, because he was playing the OHL at 15. So you're looking like 13.
No, but
14.
I mean that's the age group of those players. Yeah, of that league. Yeah. So it was just so funny to see. It's like a grainy camera, and there's just like thousands of people packed into this small arena to watch him play.
Yeah, well, in his playoffs most recently, he did have 14 points in 11 games. But Pilsy, there's been some discourse about how he didn't even lead his own team in scoring in the postseason. Does that concern you at all?
No, not really, because once again, I'll reference his defensive play, right? Like he's not someone, and they mentioned this in EP, and I think it makes a lot of sense. He's not someone that that the Canadiens are going to be saying, "Oh, we hope he gets a Maurice Richard trophy or an Art Ross trophy."
You don't think Habs fans will be expecting the first overall pick to get the Maurice Richard trophy?
I mean, they better not be. Otherwise, they're going to be trade disappointed, and that's not going to be any good for anyone. Might be good for us Sens fans, but he's more likely to win a Selke one day, which once Patrice Bergeron retires, that trophy will be available to other players. But that's the thing. Like when you're picking first overall, you have that craving to have those highlight reel plays and those dynamic offensive touches. But you got to remember, this is someone that 4 or 5 years down the road, you're going to be so thankful is on your team because he can get it done all over the ice, especially once he gets some pro experience in him. And if the Montreal Canadiens ever put a good team around him, he's going to be someone that it's going to suck for other teams playing them in their playoff matches because he's going to be tough to go against.
Do you think he plays in the NHL right away next year?
I mean, why not? They have so many good young kids there. Martin St. Louis, he's a guy that I think is going to work very well with young prospects. He allows them to play their style of game without having them fully just like playing systems and not playing hockey at all. That's kind of his calling card as a coach. So I think it makes a lot of sense. It'll help guys like Cole Caulfield out, take a little pressure off Nick Suzuki. And I mean, they don't have a captain right now, and we just talked about this guy's leadership qualities.
Just give him the C right away. No pressure, kid. Get drafted in Montreal. Put the C on his draft day jersey.
That's what I was going to say. Put the C on there and get it started. Why not?
No pressure. Yeah. No pressure, Shane. Really, though. Don't worry about it, buddy. It's all good. Just go out there. I mean, you got to defend Josh Norris. Good luck. I don't know if he knows where his office is yet. Now, even his biggest boosters will say this, quote from Scott Wheeler, still my top prospect in this class, in brackets, though not in his own tier anymore. So even the people who are highest on him are still saying like, hey, the gap's closed. He is not your Connor McDavid, your Austin Matthews, your Nathan McKinnon. He's not number one with a bullet. So I wonder how he reacts to that, because it's not an excuse. It's just a reason that he didn't play all last year. And that is such a crucial year for development. Now you can say this was still his third year because he had exceptional status. He still did get to play before the pandemic and then some. So I'm interested. I'm interested in the OHL as a whole next year. But I'm extremely intrigued at whether or not he's going to play there or whether he's going to play in the NHL, or like his shades of Mika Zibanejad, what if he gets a 9-game tryout?
I think at the very least he gets the 9-game tryout. I mean, you got to give your fans something to chew on for a little bit there. I'd be shocked if he went back to the OHL.
All right. So how many stars for Shane Wright?
I got him at 4 stars, not even 4.5, because there's no way he's going to 7. And honestly, he's not really the type of player that the Sens need. I mean, that sounds crazy to say, but like,
we got Shane Pinto.
Yeah, we got Shane Pinto. We got Mark Kastelik. Like, what do we need a two-way center for?
We got Dylan Gambrell, guy.
Yeah. Recently signed the biggest move of the offseason. Dylan Gambrell's here, everybody.
No, but Shane Wright, he's going to be a sick player. There's no question about that. So, Habs, treat him well. No pressure. Don't do what you did with a couple other high draft picks recently. Take good care of him, and you will get a very good player in Shane Wright.